and they said his kidneys were shutting down.
A dying veteran in need of a kidney. His son was a perfect match.
He was so sick, I didn't think he was going to make it to transplant.
The Veterans Administration denied him a transplant, and you'll never believe why.
It was unbelievable is what it was.
So why would the Veterans Administration deny this life-saving donation?
The agency said it was because the military member's son wasn't a veteran himself. Now, 11alive investigator Andy Parati is holding the VA accountable.
Brenda, Jeff, yesterday we exposed how veterans often face delays and denials from VA centers. Tonight, we uncover another policy some believe put our sickest veterans at risk. It doesn't take long.
Did you ever see this video?
For Tamara Nelson.
This is Charles's documentary from when he had his transplant.
To get emotional watching home video of the day her husband Charles received the life-saving kidney transplant this past June. Their son Cody agreed to donate to save his father's life.
Watching my son is what makes me cry the most.
It's a surgery that almost didn't happen. Nelson is an Army veteran. He went through basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, and now lives outside Austin, Texas. While in the service, Nelson fell ill, infecting his kidneys.
He was so sick, I didn't think he was going to make it to transplant.
So the Nelsons prepared for surgery, father and son filled with hope. But then, unexpected news. The VA tells them it will not pay for the transplant because their son is not a veteran himself, just 2 days before the operation.
That's just idiotic because transplant is hard enough. I mean, people die from not getting transplants, and now you're making it harder on me, limiting the people that I can use. It was unbelievable is what it was. It was like,
the news got worse.
And I said, well, then, so all we need to do is raise enough money to pay for his. Well, no. We can't do that because it's counted as one surgery.
After contacting local media about the VA blocking the transplant, another hospital saw their story and offered to perform the transplant.
And the VA never did anything for us.
The continuity of care is not there.
Jamie McBride is a program manager for the VA transplant system in San Antonio, Texas. After 5 years working at the VA, he's blowing the whistle about a broken system. He claims the VA often denies transplants to veterans. We spoke to him remotely from Atlanta.
When I sit across from someone who I know has survived being overseas, being in war, being in all these other things, and yet they're having trouble surviving the VA transplant system, it breaks my heart.
This past June, lawmakers filed legislation that could force the VA to perform transplants involving donors who are not veterans. At 11alive investigation uncovered, though, that proposal would only fix part of the problem. According to McBride, the VA will not pay to harvest organs from deceased donors if the operation happens at non-VA facilities. The legislation filed only covers living donors.
We need more than living donation. That's a very small portion of transplant. Majority of transplants come from deceased donors. Hearts, lungs, majority of livers, pancreas, all those come from deceased donors for the most part.
Congressman Jeff Miller of Florida is the chairman of the House Committee on Veteran Affairs. After the 11alive investigators started asking questions, Miller sent this letter to the Secretary of Veteran Affairs earlier this month, urging to ensure that the VA is using every available authority, as well as common sense, to provide life-saving care. We caught up with the chairman at a veterans event a few days ago.
Whatever it takes to help the veteran get better, and if it requires a transplant from a non-veteran, that's where we need to go.
I'm involved in the surgical world.
Dr. William Gunner is the VA's director of surgery and in charge of the transplant program. We requested an interview with him for nearly a month, but the VA said he was unavailable. In this email, an agency spokesperson did not address Nelson's case directly, but explained the VA has the authority to refer a veteran for transplant care in the community, but then admits such outsourced care requires additional coordination of services while potentially negatively impacting VA's transplant centers' efficiency.
Go back in time.
Veterans waiting for the gift of life from an agency many believe isn't doing enough to keep them alive. While Chairman Miller supports the proposed legislation, he thinks the VA should amend the rules without Congress acting. He'll be pressing for more answers on his committee, and so will we. Back to you.